Hey, 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 hey. Tony back here talking trash about the band. I'm talking about Robbie Robertson and the band. Levon Helm, Rick Danko, Richard Manuel, Garth Hudson, the band. That band. Let's do our 25 greatest tracks here with this thing, pulling them from these records. A lot of times, some of these I've taken exception to. Like, for instance, the other day I did the Jimmy Webb thing. And I think you need to do that. You do some of these things you need to, because of the nature of somebody's career, you need to do this. But the band, I think we have enough 25 on their stuff here. So we are going to go for it. Let's start with number 25 from Cahoots. I am talking about the track Volcano. One of my favorite ones here. I think that they are a powerhouse, and truthfully, these songs, when you came back to this record again, I think a lot of people stop at the first two and they don't really move forward into this. I think these records are really important, and anyway, Cahoots is just a good. I'm going to go for one of the new ones here. For 24, let's go to the only one I'm going to pick here from one of these new ones, and that's going to be the song Remedy and on Jericho. I think it's a strong song. I remember hearing it a lot at the time, and I think it's a strong representation of the band. I think they are a I don't know. Again, I'm not a big fan of this continuation, and I don't really want that in anybody to think of that. But I think that Levon's vocals on that, it's just nice to know after essentially what he'd been through, and essentially what they're going through, and it was always he never tried to sugarcoat it. I mean, he had financial issues, he had tax issues, he had all kind of problems, and he came through it all looking like a hero, was supported by a lot of people. And this is a writer of him and a writer Colin Linden, Jim Weeder. Just a nice spirited track here, and that is Remedy. And so I'm going to go now back to Cahoots one more time for one of my favorites. And I really like this song, and it's another Robbie Robertson one here, but. Where do we go from here? Sung again beautifully by Rick Danko. A lot of times the prettiest songs. He ended up singing. I also love. I think I told you the version of Bobby Charles' song "Small Town Talk" that he did. We used to do a cover of that. Rick Danko, surprisingly strong song. But anyway, they're very strong. One of my favorite songs of his singing. Where do we go from here from Cahoots? Where do we go from here? Number 23, number 22. Let's go back to the second record, the band, and the wonderful track here. Let me go back and When You Awake, which to me is kind of, I don't know. When I think of the band, I think it's, again, a Danko song. I tend to favor myself, as I'm noticing. I'm looking at this list, and that's what I'm doing. I'm sorry for the little breaks in here. I'm just noticing that I'm always doing breaks. I just love his voice. I think he's great. I'm not as much so as enamored of Levon. Levon does a lot of fun things. I just don't find myself as enamored to choose his songs like my personal favorite songs. It's not that I don't like the songs. I just, I notice that I like that. But again, this is a Manuel Robertson song, which is a weird co-writing credit, which doesn't happen much. And you got to wonder on that song what they had to do, what kind of hell they had to go through it with it. Number 21, I'm going to go probably with the only song that I like off of, but the only song that I would put on this list from Islands. Again, I told you, I'm not a big fan of this record. I don't think there's something kind of not right here. And I'm talking about Right as Rain. Again, it's a Richard Manuel song. Again, Manuel, it's a just lead off song on the album. But I think it really just never gets back there from that. I think this record starts there and is promising, and you first hear it, you say, "Oh my God, it's good," and it just falls into this mired, maudlin thing that really I don't like it at all. And I know Islands, maybe that's the way it felt to them, but didn't make it. For number 20, let's go to Stage Fright for that somewhat novelty song, the W.A. Walcott Medicine Show from Stage Fright. Really nice, nicely produced, nice sound, nice song, nice change. I mean, a different vibe from them, kind of taking the piss somewhat. And while we're talking about taking the piss, let's talk about 4% Pantomime from Cahoots, as I'm going to put as my number 19, with Van Morrison guesting and spicing things up some. Van also, as you guys know very well, was a big highlight of the last waltz. He and Neil Young came on, pretty much stole the show. You know, Joni was on it too. It was really, really good. Let's go number 18. I'm going to go to The Rumor from Stage Fright. Always one of my favorite from there. And you know, a lot of times I like things that either you know are really emotive from these guys, and I would say the songs that are the most that way are the most attraction to me. And again, that's why I love that one from Stage Fright. That's a that's a classic to me. And when you look down, you know, when you look down at their body of work, you have to say a lot of people aren't crazy about Strawberry Wine as the leadoff cracker, really sleeping, but for Richard. But you know, after that, the record I think really kind of picks up. And the second side, of course, I think the second side is really great. But the vocals, the way they trade off on that, and it's almost has a finality feeling to it. I thought at the time, you know, listening to it, I was surprised. I asked, "Is this their last record?" Because it sounded like it's like the last song. It's almost like they're saying, "Hey, we may go out here," and but it would still be a while following that one. And number 17, I'm going to go to Acadian Driftwood. Acadian Driftwood, one of my favorites from Northern Lights, Southern Cross. The second song, just a beautiful with the accordion and piccolo and fiddle. It's just a beautiful, beautiful feeling to it. I have a French translation here with it, but again, just a beautiful track and something that really stands out. And that is my number 17. For number 16, I'm going to go to the band with Rag, Mama Rag, written by J.R. Robinson here on the second record, the band, the self-titled Rag, Mama Rag. Just a killer bundle of energy and a great addition to the canon. Number 15. We're going to stay on the Rag. Let's go to Rag and Bones, huh? From Northern Lights, Southern Cross. Again, I think a very underrated record. And the more that I read these things off and read these titles, the more I'm thinking maybe I should have been number 3. I don't know. I love them all. I mean, those are really. I'm just glad to have these records back in. But to me, Rag and Bones is another special one, and so that's from the Northern Lights Southern Cross here. We're going to go on to the band for their wonderful centerpiece, probably from this record, would be Jemima Surrender. Another great Robbie Robertson song. Something that got played a lot. Levon Helm singing it. Not usually my cup of tea, as I said before, but this one is really one of the strongest ones here. And certainly, you know my propensity. We're going to stay at this record. You know my propensity towards Richard Manuel. So for my countdown anyway, number 13, it's going to be King Harvest and Surely Come. The wrap up here, that to me could be a little bit longer even, than just the final song on the final crowning moment to me on the band record. And it's really a classic. When you think about, if you're going to say that any of these records are true rock classics and put them up there in the upper echelon, record. If you're going to say one of the greatest records, certainly Big Pink and the band would be in the top 100 of anybody's list as far as importance go in rock and the influence of their sound. Let's go to Big Pink with number 12 here, Tears of Rage, the high-pitched Richard Manuel, beautiful vocal as he closes out that, as he opens up that they actually open and close that record, Richard Manuel does. But there's something about him in this heart and soul of the band. To me, that's the underpinning and the tragedy of the band, the way he kind of just got worse and worse and wasted away. And it's almost like he stands for something more than what he really does in the mythology of the band or in the spirit of the band. And it's just, it's a shame. Number 11. Let's go to another wonderful song that was written by Dylan with Mr. Danko here. This Wheel is on Fire from, of course, Big Pink, which is, where so many good. Imagine how many great songs were written there. All those Dylan songs were written in that basement. Holy moly. You just want to sit there. Kind of like when I went to Sun Studio in Memphis and stood in the spot there where Elvis sang. And the Great Three had the picture of the Great Three on the wall in the session when they were all three there at the same times. Carl Perkins, Jerry Lee, and Elvis. Crazy. Number 11, Back to Cahoots. Told you I love Smoke Signals, man. Something about the sound of that kind of forecast the future of a lot. That song at the time, now today you hear it doesn't sound different, but that today that time that was fresh. That was a fresh sound. That was something new, and bravo, man. Number 9, let's go to the opening song, Richard Manuel vocals, Across the Great Divide. Great vocals from the band record, the second record. It's amazing. This band almost made 2 great debut records. Maybe that's why they called the band the band, because it's just such a fresh thing. But what a great one there. Number 8, we're going to go with a title track from Stage Fright. Always one of my favorites, and probably the highlight of that live presentation. When they played live at that point, that was probably the big blowout. They had a big space. You could leave a big space in it for solos and such, and it was one that would lend itself to an encore type of a presentation. Let's go to the Northern Lights, Southern Cross, 1975. Jupiter Hollow here, man. You got Levon and Richard singing together, but it's just a beautiful. My parts. I just love Manuel's voice so much. I just love that record a whole lot. You've got Richard Manuel singing on Rag. We already talked about Rags and Bums right after it, but that part of the record. That's kind of what clinches me with this one. Is a really, really great one. We spoke about it before. Number 6, let's go back to Stage Fright with Don't You Know the Shape I'm In? Oh, don't you know the shape I'm in? You hear that inclusion sort of towards the end, but and I know Danko or somebody tried to sing it more, towards the end of things, but I just, wow. It's something else, man. I mean, this record, I think you think about this and, I don't know, man. I think you have to think that, when these guys are making these records, it almost sounds like, they knew they weren't just, they were making it for their little village, I guess. If you ever spend time up around Woodstock or up around where that whole thing was, it's a quaint, small little town, but at the same time, the pressure must have been immense. And you think about that and beautiful. So if you're ever up at that time, just try to keep in mind all the great songs here. Play yourself some band music and some Todd Rundgren that he made up there at the time. There was a lot of great stuff happening up there at the time. Let's go to the tour de force of Cahoots. Life is a Carnival. Life is a Carnival. That is, again, the opening track. You got Danko and Helm singing. I think this record is sorely, I mean, what do you do if you put out those first two records? Honestly, how do you compete with that? And I think they did the best that anybody could, and I think Cahoots is a strong, strong record. And if they hadn't put out those first two records, they would say that this is the greatest record ever made. So that's what I think. Now from here on in, these songs will be, and they say what are the great songs written in the time, and well, you talk about the band, you talk about Up on Cripple Creek. It's my number 4, Captain Obvious here from the band, the second record. A Drunkard's Dream, if I ever did see one. I mean, it's just with the Jews harp and everything. Wow, 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 wow. It just they were confident at the time, and Levon a lot of times would sing these ones that would get it for you, but. The band, the band really. I mean, this. If you think about, was this ever released as a single? Let me see about this. It was, and it got all the way to number 25 on the pop. Can you believe that? Well, that's a lead one song all the way. So you got to give me credit for that, guys. That's number 4. Number 3, 2, and 1. Let me tell you, man, are all going to come from the same record, and we're talking about 1968's Big Pink. These are my 3 favorite ones. Let's start off with the classic, what I consider to be the heartbeat of the second side, and that's Chest Fever, Richard Manuel singing Robbie Robertson song. Nothing like it, man. A lot of people may not have as high reverence for this one as me, but I always thought to this to be a complete masterpiece. I was always hoping from this point on, you knew, and that's the thing about Richard Manuel. He was kind of presented as, well, here's this guy that's just a, but the diversity to this, and his participation and stuff. I mean, it's just without him, to me, he's a huge part of this band. If you think about every one of these guys, I mean, it's really an unusual thing to put these guys together and to put a guy from Arkansas involved. I mean, some of the stuff's almost like Garth and these guys are almost like classically trained. And Richard Manuel's just got this mystical, great, soulful Richard, Ray Charles thing going. And man, oh man, we were so lucky to be alive at this point. Well, that's my number 3. Let's go to number 2. And a lot of people have this as their greatest. And if it would be number 1, I can't blame you. And I'm talking about the great song, The Weight, the closer on side 1, Take a Load Off Fanny. That's what I'm talking about, man. I mean, everybody knows the song. You're all maybe tired of it. But the story about Nazareth and the whole story about the way it fits in, and it's a hard thing to pull off. And what a great song! And again, if Robbie Robertson clearly wrote that song. You got a couple of songs on this written by Richard Manuel on this first record, and they didn't make it on my thing because as far as the songwriters go, it's not really my favorite. His performance, his soul, though, is certainly at the heart of it, and that's where we're going to go for number 1. We're going to go with that high quivering voice that some people might not be able to deal with. But that they say every man can be. I just talk about "I Shall Be Released," which is you've maybe heard Dylan's song, you maybe heard anybody's song of that. But I see my life come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, I shall be released. I mean, it's a guy at the end of the road just looking down the tape measure and looking what he's done and what he stands for, and that's what any of us can do. So what a great place to leave this off at, but that's my number 1, and that's my top 25 greatest band songs. Why don't you guys tell me about yours a little bit? We really appreciate having you guys subscribe. Help us out by smashing that like button if you like what we're doing. We want to keep this between us. We don't want to keep it. We don't get too crazy with it, but we do appreciate that. Why don't you guys leave your list here below the band, of course. A lot of people have a different attitude towards some of those later things. Maybe you'd have some more of the later songs in there. But I just think some of those songs that I have at the top there, like probably pretty much the top 10, a bunch of those to me Just really couldn't be any other place. But my God, there's some good ones that are down the list as well. Let me see your guys, man. Anyway, thank you always for being around, guys. They were doing this around the holidays, 25, 26. You guys we're in it to have a great year, and we want you guys to have a great year too. Thank you from us here at WildFlow, and we will catch you guys next time. Thanks.